Let's get to other news around the region. Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, Yemen. You've got rioting. Most people there say, okay, these are similar in terms of the protests being anti-governmental, anti-regime. Bahrain, a little bit different. Bahrain, considered an ally of the U.S., the 5th Naval Fleet is based in Bahrain. Well, what do you make of the situation? What is the appropriate U.S. response there?
It's far from the most hard line of the Arab regimes. Its ambassador to Washington, for example, is a Jewish woman, which is not all that common in Arab countries. I think that we really have to try to stand by the leaders in Bahrain. I rather imagine some of the difficulty is being fomented among the Shia, which are about 80 to 90% of the country, by the Iranians.
Do you think the Iranians could be behind some of the unrest in Bahrain?
Oh, certainly. I think the Iranians are trying as much as they can, particularly given their own somewhat vulnerable situation with divisions in their own country, to try to make trouble in the Gulf. And Bahrain would be the first place they'd try because, as you say, the 5th Fleet is headquartered there and because of the very substantial number of Shia. But with these riots coming home to the Gulf, they've got to be a very destabilizing concern, for example, for Saudi Arabia.
And Bahrain would be much more difficult politically for us. I mean, it's easier with Libya, perhaps. It's extremely easy with Yemen. But with Bahrain, we have to be very careful.
We do, and we don't want to get the reputation for it being the case that it's more dangerous to be a friend of the United States than an enemy. Because up until very recently, the president's been treating Iran with kid gloves, not even really criticizing them a year and a half ago for the terrible murders that they conducted in the crackdowns after Ahmadinejad stole that election a year ago last summer. And recently, they've been, from my point of view, a little bit better, criticizing Iran more, but still, it really looks as if from some points of view that it is more dangerous to be a friend of the United States than an enemy, and that's not a good reputation to have, particularly in this part of the world.
If we were to focus on one nation that is currently seeing protests, Egypt aside, let's assume that is over for now, Tunisia over as well. Should it be Yemen?
I think the one that is the closest to being a failed state in the area, and therefore, if there is an overthrow, you could end up with a real haven for al-Qaeda and so forth, is probably Yemen. But I would come back to Bahrain as being front and center. We really don't want to lose the headquarters for the 5th Fleet. And if that should happen, it would be hard to figure out exactly where else we might accept them.
Former CIA Director Jim Woolsey, thank you.